Final ending of the beverage, part 1 down below. She was a slob, her room was constantly filthy, and let's not even talk about her vehicle. She continues to just toss trash everywhere, despite my repeated complaints about this. After she disregarded me for years, did I emotionally distance myself from her? I told her that was not how I wanted to live. It is repulsive. Yes, she would tidy up, but after a week or so, her half of the room appeared to have been hit by a cyclone once more. This can seem insignificant and trivial, but from the viewpoint of a male, regrettably, so does. Oh, you're not spending enough time with me. Should she have taken me to a seat and said, look, damn it, if some things don't change around here, I am going to leave you. I never would have carried on acting in the way that I did. She simply continued to let it, similar to how I permitted her actions. Door swings in both directions. If she had just informed me exactly how she was feeling, we could have easily solved everything. It didn't come with instructions. This was my first serious relationship. I'm not trying to justify myself, but I also had some terrible long-term couple examples on hand. Everyone always laments the boredom of their marriages. I assumed that being monotonous was the inevitable outcome of spending several years with the same person. I also took issue with her lack of affection. She was smitten with me the moment we started dating. That subsided after approximately 2 years, and I told her about it. She never truly returned my intense affectionate attention, even though I would give it to her. She never kissed me other than while we were saying our goodbyes or when one of us arrived home from work. What became of kissing? Throughout our marriage, I told her multiple times that I had missed that. She didn't change, so did I stop being with her? No, I just let it go and kept loving her. Came about millimeters away from experiencing a recurrence today. I texted the ex about a bill I received from a debtor. She stated that it automatically deducts from her account each month. It's only $25, and to simply discard it. My heart rushes every time I even text her. I was dying to give her a call and tell her everything, to make one last attempt to reach her. Naturally, this would not be the last instance. Thank God, I realized my mistake before causing more harm. I guess this is what I've been through to strengthen my patience and willpower. There are 2 things that I really need. That's most likely the reason I blew my final opportunity to make amends with my wife. In any case, I wasn't ready for that. When doing the 180 was the right course of action, I was going to try to win her heart again by being polite. I probably didn't help things much by saying something really hurtful. Anything she claims she will never be able to forgive me for. Before I signed the divorce papers, I said this to her. I was simply operating on raw emotional suffering. I had a lousy idea for something. After realizing what I had done, I contacted her to apologize about 10 minutes later. However, it had already surfaced. She claimed that if I hadn't said it, she would still have loved me. Whether or not I believe it, I'm not sure. Why in the world was she divorcing me in the first place if she still loved me? I've realized something. As everyone who has been following my journey Annie should know, it should be brutally evident. I am not the victim, though. Lies were the foundation of my relationship with my ex-wife. I didn't think it would last past our first meeting when I initially met her. She was lovely, but I didn't feel any attraction toward her. To see her, I had to make a lengthy drive. She then recommended that I stay the night. She broke down in tears and expressed her want for me to stay as I went to depart the following day. That ought to have raised a serious warning. But with that, she truly broke my heart. The idea of not getting in touch with her once I returned home was too much for me to handle. I continued to communicate with her, and about a week later, she confides in me, saying that she believes she is falling in love. Again, this ought to have raised a serious red signal. However, I reasoned, what else am I doing? She added that she would pay me a visit this time. We spent a few days in the hotel room that she had leased. I had never done the thing before, but we did it. She did indeed deflow me. She later claimed that I had won her heart. In any case, I couldn't stop thinking about her after she went. I saw her grin every time I closed my eyes. I just know that I wanted to see more of this woman. I'm not sure if it was love or the fact that she had stolen my virginity. She didn't want to tell me that I'm not in love with you speech because she didn't want to give me pain. The only thing that brought us together at the beginning is now the only thing keeping us together. Isn't that ironic? Simply the opposite. I've expressed that I feel like I'm currently being punished for something. I gave up my career, my house, and my companion when I divorced my wife. Right now, I have nothing. I live with my parents, and I'm having trouble getting a job. Is God putting me to the test, or is this karma? Admittedly, I have considered suicide on occasion, but I don't think I'd have the courage to actually do it. Simply said, I'm not sure. I can honestly state that I don't see myself with my ex for the rest of my life, even if this didn't happen. What action was expected of me? Stay hidden forever. Furthermore, and I apologize profusely for stating this, I was always embarrassed to be seen in public with my ex. She was messy and overweight. It's as if her appearance didn't concern her at all. When she served me with the divorce documents, I did in fact tell her this. She claimed she was unable to forgive me. D-Day is no longer weeks away, but just days. I believe all I want is for it to end already. I don't have a lot of contact with the ex. All she texts me for is the news that she has shipped another package. My belongings that are still in her home. She doesn't have the number here and is disconnecting my phone from her plan at the end of May. If she changes her cell phone number as soon as mine is disconnected, I wouldn't be shocked. She has blocked me on Facebook as well. I'm still in the denial stage, even though all the signs are there. I'm only a person. I still want for peace. However, it's clear that we have passed that stage. I have been hoping all week to speak with my ex-wife in a moment of severe weakness. I truly wanted to let her know that I understood why she did what she did, even if I think it was anxiousness brought on by the imminent divorce. I had, in fact, written her a letter, which I had torn up after leaving it in the mailbox. I couldn't help but respond when she texted me today to inquire about some more of my stuff that she was mailing. I gave her a call. I apologized to her and told her what I had done. I also informed her that, in hindsight, it would have been preferable for us to part ways. Most likely, I wouldn't have altered. She acknowledged this and added that she is still furious over something I said to her after I signed the divorce papers, which is why she hasn't phoned to see how I'm doing. In addition to a few things I texted her after that, I made no requests for her to rescind the divorce, though I'm sure it won't happen. I did tell her that, cliché as it may seem, I think she's my soulmate and I sense that God wants us to be together. Yes, things with her parents are messed up, and rebuilding trust will take a lot of effort. But isn't everything worthwhile to strive for? Getting her was simple, but maintaining her required work. I was unsuccessful. I reminded her that she had previously declared I was the guy of her dreams. I questioned her about if she truly meant it when she said it or whether it was just a way for her to get over her new relationship fog. She acknowledged that she did mean it, but she also indicated that it would be some time before she could consider dating me again. I'm not going to wait for her, but I'm also not giving up hope. I felt that this provided closure. After speaking with her, I feel better. Yes, I'm probably delusional and codependent. However, today feels better than it has all week. In other news, tomorrow might be my date. Seeing a movie with this girl I met on the internet. There, we're going to meet, and I'm not sure if anything will happen after. I also informed her of my predicament. She is aware that I'm not trying to become serious. I would benefit from meeting new, kind folks. I'm going for it, then. She might be able to distract me from the one I let get away. Let's see. Regarding my lack of desire for her while she was present, I guess I took things for granted. My family, my work, my house, and my spouse. All the good things that I didn't feel I deserved and for which I was grateful. I had to lose everything before I could finally glimpse the light. Sadly, that's usually how things go. But God is my testimony, and I will not back down from a challenge. This time, I won't make a mistake. In the unlikely event that things don't work out with the ex, at least I'll be equipped with knowledge for my future relationship. She was really negative when I got in touch with her after we split up. She declared that there was absolutely no possibility of us ever getting back together, that she was finished. This time, she said none of it. What I took away from this was, for the most part, that she still wants her space and is quite angry with me. Or perhaps that's just denial showing up once more. I'm withdrawing and going back to NC. Again, pathetically, my mother was the inspiration for what I accomplished. She advised me to make sure I explored every avenue, expressed to her how much she means to me, and let her know that I'm willing to battle for her if I truly loved her and wanted her back. Women, she claims, adore that stuff. I informed her that it wouldn't work and that you should just continue to no contact as advised by all the professionals. But are all people precisely the same? Everyone cannot be categorized into the same box. I'm not sure why, but it seems like I gave up too quickly. I departed without arguing when she suggested that we should part ways. I signed the divorce papers immediately after she served them to me, without protest. Despite the fact that I was essentially taken by surprise by them, I told her the day after she gave me the "not in love with you" speech that I was determined to get her back, but I was leaving the home with the door open, browsing hotels in our town on the internet. I was utterly terrified and unsure of what action to take. When I phoned her, she wanted to know if I was staying at a motel or heading home after work. I told her I might drive about till she went to work, or I might check into a motel. Next, return home. She started crying and asked me why I was going to do that when I should be trying to win her back. I then promised to return home. She didn't want me gone, despite my assumption that she would have. Alternatively, perhaps she was crying because she was upset and truly wanted me to depart. I'm not sure. However, I took that to mean that she wanted to give me an opportunity. However, I failed miserably. I wasn't prepared yet, didn't possess the equipment. I was still believing that she was to blame for everything, until one day she suddenly blurted, "I'm not happy. Please go, I want you to." I'll just keep giving her space, and I'll respond appropriately if she chooses to get in touch. I simply had to face that head on. It was awful not to speak with her. I was simply blazing inside, and now that I've had a chance to express my true feelings to her and acknowledge how deeply I've wounded her, I do feel better. She acknowledged that it did help, but not significantly. Still, I have a few things planned for this week that will keep me occupied. Tuesday night plans include seeing a movie with a new buddy and supper with a group of divorced people. I won't be sitting around moping all by myself, at least. Update, I should have passed on the film. Those behind us sighed as they continued to speak loudly the entire time. In front of us was a wailing infant as well. I was wishing I was there with my ex-wife instead of the girl, not to mention the fact that we have almost nothing in common. Although she seems pleasant, I don't think she will call again after this. Yesterday I felt better, but now I feel 20 times worse. In addition, my wife and I are no longer formally married as of today. All I want to do is duck into a corner. Sincerely, I had a pleasant conversation with the head of the support group that I will be having dinner with on Tuesday. Being somewhat of an introvert and antisocial person, I find this to be quite frightening. But I'm just going to go for it. It involves moving outside of my comfort zone, and I should make it a habit to do so more frequently. In any case, the man I spoke with merely restated the information I already knew but was unable to accept. He suggested that I wasn't totally to blame for the breakdown of my marriage and that my ex-wife and I weren't the greatest fit after all. Besides, he doesn't believe that things didn't work out because of my negligence. She claims that this is the main cause of our disagreement, even though other people have also expressed this theory. In addition, his divorce story was more embellished than mine. He claimed that his wife informed him they needed to file for divorce since she was engaged one day when he got home from work. I was thinking, he also mentioned that his wife might eventually want to reconcile, but he had already moved on and rejected her. Remember how I said he was my hero? Though I didn't say it, I was considering it. It's pleasant to have my family around, and I value their support greatly. However, nothing helps ease the situation more than speaking with someone who understands precisely what you're going through. All I have to do now is get through tomorrow, my divorce's day. A few weeks later, my divorce is final. My ex-wife tells me that if I give her time and space to forgive me for some of the horrible things I said to her after I served her with my divorce papers, there could be a chance for us to start over. She has also informed me that it will most likely take some time. I've been avoiding contact for about 2 weeks now, and I'm not sure how rigorous I should be about it. She texted me today to say she was sending me something, like it was to replace something she sent me that got broken in transit. Should I just keep cutting off all communication, or should I respond to the SMS with a thank you? What will happen when I get the package? I really do want to make amends with this woman at some point, but I just don't want to come across as an unappreciative guy. She said that maybe one day, if I gave her time and space, we may get back in touch, which is why I stopped talking to her approximately 2 weeks ago. I could start anew and she could forgive me for what I said. It might take some time, she cautioned me. Even if I think this is just a ploy to manipulate me, I had to take the necessary action. My pursuit of her was not advancing me in any way. But I'm wondering, are there any tricks you guys know to help me get out of this fantasy land where I imagine her texting me and telling me that she misses me, and then me running back to her and we cuddling under a downpour and living happily ever after? I'm really starting to grow sick of feeling like this, and it seems improbable that we will miraculously reconcile at this point. My heart tells me something different than what my intellect knows. I also think that talking about this scenario all the time is holding me back, but that's all I can think about. Reuniting with my former spouse is all I could ever hope for. When will I finally feel the effects of reality? I'm not sure if I'll ever be able to accept the end of my marriage. What more could my ex-wife possibly do to make her point clear to me? She has said that she doesn't love me and doesn't want to be with me, filed for divorce, and utterly abandoned me. On our anniversary, she even texted me to let me know that she would be sending me a copy of the court summons for our divorce hearing. I just went totally crazy. I don't think I would understand it even if I found out that she was seeing someone else, which is probably going to happen shortly, if not already. I simply convinced myself that it won't work out and he won't be able to live up to me. I should definitely be attending counseling or something. I have problems. I wish with all my heart that I could truly believe that. This would be so much simpler with it. I am aware of my errors. She continued to send me little hints of hope as I maintained in touch with her. She was really chilly and said the most terrible things when we initially parted ways. She expressed her wish for me to be happy, but it was not possible with her. She indicated that maybe one day we could start anew if I gave her some time and space when I last spoke with her. Though I realize that should be taken with a grain of salt, I can't help but notice how lacking in patience I have always been. Perhaps this is a test of some type. And I freaked out and didn't give her room when she first showed me that she loved me but wasn't in love with you. I can't help but wonder if I had just given up and read about the 180, if I might still be married now. Even in the 3 days leading up to the split, I believe we were beginning to become more intimate. However, I was impatient and wanted an update. Inquired as to whether any of her emotions had returned. She expressed her desire for me to leave, saying it seemed like I was hurrying her. I know I'm simply clinging to any tiny glimmer of hope, but for now, this is the only thing that is sustaining me. There are plenty of warning indicators. I received divorce papers the previous time she requested some distance. Furthermore, she has never been the kind to take a long time to complete tasks. She says that after our first meeting, she fell in love. A few days after corresponding online, we had our in-person meeting. We had barely been dating for approximately 4 months when she consented to let me move in. She probably would have consented to that too if I had approached her sooner. How long do you think it will take to replace me now that I'm not around? Oh goodness, I should know all of this already. However, I just can't give up on the fantasy that our union was intended. As I already stated, I'm in hell. She told me she felt like a failure when I asked how she was doing following the divorce court. Furthermore, a woman I chatted with in a divorce support group informed me that she won't genuinely experience any kind of grief until I cease reaching out to and chasing her. However, it is true that I must accept reality. Every time I start to have one of those fantasies, I'll attempt assuring myself it's finished. Thus far, nothing else appears to be effective. Don't worry, I've got a backup plan. She promised to pray for my heart to mend, but in the interim, she is available to help me with anything I need. When she told me that, I nearly started crying, and it made me feel horrible because at this point, all I can give her is friendship. When I think back on our relationship, I notice things that, to be really honest, I just didn't think were that important at the time. I only desired her. If you'd like, I can go into further detail. After hearing the entire story, many of you could conclude that I was already a doormat for her. However, these actions highlight her extreme selfishness. However, that being said, she would therefore comply with almost everything I asked her to do, and I didn't realize until lately how many of them bothered her. For example, whenever we went out, she would ask whether I wanted her to put on makeup, and I would tell her that she didn't. She also seemed better without it, in my opinion. She informed me that this bothered her since she wanted everyone to know that she was making an effort to appear attractive for her partner. Terrible communication. She simply stored up everything till it completely destroyed her affections for me. Additionally, I didn't make an effort to do the things she enjoyed. Instead, we made our relationship solely about me. But she was the ideal partner, I felt. Maybe she was appearing to like the same things I liked when, in reality, we had nothing in common. We also never got into arguments. I cherished having her at home. Even on days when she worked a long shift, she would always have dinner ready and welcome me with a kiss and a loving hug. My virginity was taken from me by her, who was also my first love. I really do miss her. And lost, you're entirely correct. If it meant getting back into her life right now, I think I would probably let her get away with murder. But that's not what she wants. She would speak with me if she did. The day before the trial, I tried to persuade her not to divorce me, but she insisted that she was still furious with me. That kind of thing is what gives me this delusion of hope. Oh, I think maybe she's just upset with me. She'll get over it and be more receptive to making amends. Generally speaking, you don't get into the hassle of getting a divorce just because you're angry with someone. Or do you? I have never been in a divorce. Correct. A little additional information. She married me twice before. After 7 years, she also got divorced from her first. She was simply not content. Big update. I ought to feel guilty. This is the tale. Today, my former partner mailed me a replacement package because the first one had been harmed during transit. She responded to my SMS message expressing gratitude with, "You're welcome." I never should have texted her. I became quite depressed when she didn't respond to my SMS because I instantly anticipated her to. I then looked into her email account. Her notes contained a phone number, which is what I discovered. Naturally, I give the number a ring, and he answers, saying he collaborates with her and everything is fine. I then admit what I had done to my ex over the phone. She should update her email password, I advised. She was obviously quite angry. She promised to give me a call later, saying she didn't have time to chat. After some time, I eventually received the call. I tell her that the reason I'm in this situation is because she utterly abandoned me as soon as we split up. I informed her that as a result, I'm a complete mess. I informed her that she never texts or contacts me. She simply behaves as though I don't exist. She claims that was the only approach she knew for handling the situation. She mentioned that we might start over after the prank I pulled off today when I asked her about it. No, was the response. I then reminded her that she had to be more understanding because she frequently goes to church and that they always talk about forgiveness. She then extends her forgiveness to me and adds that, given the circumstances, she probably would have acted in the same way. Then I inquired as to our next course of action. She remarked that we merely attempt to move on with our lives. Then I said to her, "What about us?" "There won't be any of us," she continued. She continued, saying she wouldn't take the chance of getting harmed once more. I informed her that I had sworn never to injure my mother again, even if it meant my life. That going back to my previous habits would not help me since I would find myself in the same predicament. That I couldn't go through it twice and that I nearly died doing this. She didn't respond to anything I said. Huge surprise. She declared that she would not lower her defenses. I told her that I suppose that's what separated us. If the shoe had been on the other foot, I would have given her another chance. After that, I hung up. Thus, yesterday saw one step forward and today there are 40 steps back. I've thrown away all of the progress I've made in the last few weeks. However, at least I now have proof that she is unquestionably unwilling to make an effort to resolve our differences. I'm now at peace with myself, and this is as much of a reality check as you can get. I informed her that I had no intention of moving back in with her, that all I wanted to do was go out with her a couple of times and see where it went. She declined. According to my mother, she is acting in self-defense. that she secretly still feels something for me, and that she is aware that if she sees me again, those sentiments will resurface and make her vulnerable once more. That makes some sense, but it doesn't actually assist me, I suppose. The outcome remains the same in the end. My former spouse and I are done together altogether. Basically, we're back at the beginning. But at least it's certain now. There is nothing in the air. Even though if I had to do it all over again, the outcome wouldn't have been what I had hoped for. Most likely, I wouldn't have made any changes. A really lovely woman who knows what I'm going through and who even promised to be there for me in times of need took me out a couple of times. And it's just been a month since we met. However, all I can think of when I'm out with her is how much I'd rather to be here with my ex-wife. She may not be me, my ex-wife retorted when I informed her about her today. She should treat you better than I did, I hope. God, would it be cruel of her if she truly cared so much about how I've been treated after our split and divorce? If so, why won't she give me another chance? I wish I could hate her so bad. This morning, an abused wife was on my mind. Her man generally apologizes after hitting her, but a short while later, he beats her again. For months or maybe years, this goes on. It's very much guaranteed once that woman gets the guts to break up with him. Although I never hit my wife, I did repeatedly do things that upset her, even though I vowed never to do them again. I would honor my word for a while before reverting to my usual behavior. I used to wonder all the time, why would she want me back? And it's true that she did once tell me that the reason I should leave her alone and move on from her was because she was treating me badly. Later on, she claims that she did it because she wasn't done with me yet. Is she more insane than I am? I simply refuse to accept the fact that all the evidence I required was there in front of me the entire time. I can even see why she doesn't want to take the chance of involving herself with me once more. I think my self-representation is lacking, displaying the same actions that initially caused her to leave. Oh my God, this is bad. I was chilly toward her at times. She would cry at the drop of a hat and was quite sensitive. I therefore assumed it was nothing serious when she started crying. Frequently, I would push her to tears without giving it a second thought. I never really thought about her happiness, to be honest. I had a highly self-centered attitude. She liked going to this particular restaurant to dine. However, I detested it. She eventually agreed to stop pleading with me to take her there and to attend with her friends or relatives instead. That should be sufficient, I thought. She wanted to go one night, so I gave her permission to go by herself. It takes about 40 minutes to get there. In addition, you have to wait about for 30 minutes to eat. She pretended like nothing was wrong. Before leaving, she gave me a kiss, and when she arrived home, she appeared delighted. Even so, I ought to have prevented her from going there by herself. I would frequently refute her bonding because of other things. She told me straight out that I made her feel horrible every time I did it, but I never gave it a second thought. At times, I would simply pretend that I didn't want to spend time with her. It makes sense, seeing back, why she is hesitant to try again. I was such a prick. As I sit here in the victim chair, I have to admit that she was the only reason I abused her this way. In addition, I was so conceited that I thought she would never leave me. Now it's my turn to be the joker. Shifting the topic just a little bit. My former spouse informed me that the reason she went through with the divorce was not because she was over me and didn't want to see me again, but rather because she was angry with me. Considering what she eventually told me that day, that sounds like a pretty strange thing to say. I don't know, maybe if I had simply withdrawn, she would have finally warmed up. Whatever good feelings she may have had for me are probably long gone by now. The issue, in my opinion, was with me and my low self-esteem, not with her at all. Because of the physical differences between us, I always assumed that everyone we encountered would be staring at or making fun of us. The bonding was, well, let's not go too graphic, basically like this, and I never felt at ease. She was really demanding and constantly asking for it when we first met. I adored it, as any male would. I'm not sure why, but over time, she stopped requesting it. However, I disliked making the request. I wanted her to ask so I could be positive that she really wanted it. And I'd go to videos when she stopped asking. I developed an addiction. She truly asked for connection, but the situation was so terrible. I declined her offer since I couldn't perform. The duration of time spent with her. I play video games. Not really into it, as she. Since I'm not very social, I would go to message boards for video games and talk to other players. Really, I had no one else with whom to share that interest. The issue is that I allowed it to take up time that I ought to have been spending with my spouse. She would be in the bedroom and I would be at the computer. When she would call, I would either urge her to get off the computer or tell her straight up that I wouldn't be there in a minute. Then I'd get back on the computer when she went to sleep and I wasn't quite exhausted. She had requested that I cease doing it, assuming that I was browsing the internet, which I occasionally did. Naturally, though, I disregarded her because I'm such a lovely man. If I wasn't content in our marriage, it was entirely my fault. She was not a perfect wife, but she was a great wife overall. Yes, our circumstances were quite special and complicated by racial issues. However, I didn't find that items bothersome. I didn't want to meet her parents, so I never did. Though I wish I could have gone to her brother's burial, I did feel horrible when he passed away. To be honest, I really wanted to support her during that. I finally began to understand it around the end of our marriage. I tried to do some of the things I used to do for her when we first met, had stopped watching videos, and had started spending more time with her in the bedroom. But by then, I suppose it was already too late. It felt more like we were roommates than husband and wife, and I could tell something wasn't quite right. However, as I've already stated, I believed it was simply how things were meant to be when you spend a lot of time with someone. I was forced to look at terrible examples of long-term relationships, but she has a sister and brother who have been married for almost 30 years each, and her mother has also been with her stepfather for a considerable amount of time. Since she believes that all of their marriages are ideal, I suppose they never discuss any of their issues with her. Hell, perhaps they are. Not that I'm trying to justify myself, but she was the first real relationship I had. I simply didn't know how to handle a friend. I behaved more like a friend than a wife. Yes, regarding the 12-step program, I ought to investigate that. I believe my addiction to my wife developed. There were no pals for me. I used to laugh at the idea of meeting new people as I believed I already had everything I needed at home. I was well cared for and married to a nice wife. No one else was necessary in my existence. My family was among them. Even though I would give them a call on their birthdays and over the holidays, I stopped communicating with them altogether. I wasn't really concerned about anyone outside of my own bubble. I was just in mine. And now that she's gone, I have no choice but to give up. Man, it's hard. Though I know I lack the courage to act on it, I frequently feel like C myself. Furthermore, CS are really pricey. I would be far too afraid to attempt poisoning or dousing myself. And there's the whole damnation thing. I only start to think those things when I'm at my lowest. I gave it a lot of thought yesterday. She doesn't seem to miss me at all, which is the hardest part of this. She acts as though our 9-year-long shared home is nothing more than a place to hang out. It aches so much. She doesn't seem to be at all saddened by my readiness to give up on everything. Since she was the one who wanted out, I suppose it makes sense, but thinking about it just makes me feel worse. All I truly want to do is flee. When she informed me the other night that there was no chance we would ever get back together, when I stated I knew exactly what to do and what not to do to make her happy, and I knew for a fact that I wouldn't ever harm her again, she accused me of merely telling her what she wanted to hear. However, it appears that throughout years of our marriage, she was the one who was just giving me what I wanted to hear. I knew the moment I laid eyes on you that you were the man I wanted to live a lifetime with. Crap like I'll never let you go. Yes, exactly. I completely meant what I said to her when I uttered those things. I wish I could hate her so bad. Yesterday, I had a moment of weakness. The supper for the support group went really well. For the first time since my ordeal began, I truly enjoyed myself. It was wonderful to have a face-to-face conversation with someone who truly understands what I'm going through. Even though I know I shouldn't be concerned about these things right now, people always comment, "She had been planning this," whenever I relate my story. Divorce me, for a period of time. Divorce papers cannot be obtained that quickly. I texted her to inquire about it. She continues to insist that she completed everything on March 14th. The final date of our divorce was April 15th. I also informed her that yesterday I had lost my temporary job. She apologized. Then I questioned her about why she had informed me about the house phone going dead. She explained that it was because this area code had been showing up in her call log. It took her a long time to answer this query. I'm not sure if she was looking up my area code, chatting to someone else, or something else. As I mentioned earlier, I shouldn't even be worrying about these things, but I had to inquire. I thanked her for responding to my query and apologized for upsetting her when she indicated she was going to bed. She said that I wasn't bothering her. After that, I bid her good night, and she did the same. Last update, after several months. I'm done chatting to my ex-wife. For the past 4 months, I've been telling her, but it hasn't helped me at all. What else is there to say to her that hasn't been covered in detail already? No, time to put on a show. I assured her that I would never, ever bring up the subject of us getting back together. She says she doesn't think I'll stay true to who I was in the past. I have no choice except to do nothing in order to show her anything. She turned me down again, but this time I did not respond the way I usually do. I just expressed my sincere regret that she felt that way. If this had happened even 2 weeks ago, I would have become quite defensive and started questioning her nonstop. Insults, whining, pleading, followed by a hollow vow to never repeat this. I feel sick almost just thinking about it. It dawns on me now that she might never decide to change her mind. However, I haven't yet used this strategy. Furthermore, I'm not hoping for instant results. It takes time to regain trust. And to be really honest, I attempted every solution I could think of if this didn't work. I joined a gym today. Yes, we still haven't worked out. However, I'll most likely do it on Monday or tomorrow. My therapist also suggested that I go fishing and suggested that I visit a few churches. I had never gone fishing before, but my brother, who generally spends weekends at my parents' house, we're two depressed, lonely guys, says he's gone a few times, so maybe we could go fishing together. They ate of no touch as well. The fact that she isn't getting back to me irritates me more than the fact that I even truly want to talk to her. I suppose that over time, it won't hurt as much. A few more months later, I managed to ruin things with my ex in my typical way. I decided to cut off communication with her one day because I hadn't spoken to her in almost 2 months. Big error. I joke around with her in a text. I decided that a lighthearted approach would be preferable than my typical one. It didn't seem like she was interested in speaking with me. Said that she had been working late at her job and that she needed to get to bed. I told her I missed her even though I wanted to stay away. Then she told me that nothing was different. I won't bore you with every detail, but if you've been paying attention, you already know that I struggle with accepting no. I texted her again, like a foolish person. Eventually, though, she had enough and changed her phone number. And on Facebook, she blocked me. Issue resolved. That day hurt like hell, but looking back, I understand that this is precisely what she ought to have done all along. About 3 weeks have passed since then, and I feel fantastic. Really, 3 ladies I met on dating sites are having casual text exchanges with me, and one of them seems like a good fit for a potential partner. Someone else desires to meet. She may merely want to have a casual affair, though, I'm afraid. That has never appealed to me. Indeed, as one door shuts, 3 others open. I won't pretend to be completely over my ex-wife, but I don't think about her nearly as often, and when I do, I can no longer make myself cry. There's still a part of me that wishes she would reach out to me so I could tell her no. I won't hold my breath though. She ultimately shut me off, which was a huge favor. I have to move on from this at this point. Why did the person wait for his ex to block him, is my question. How come he can't block her, as he was unable to restrain himself? You can't beg your lover back, you should get help when you need it. You can't even beg your own dog, in actuality. You appear more pitiful the more you plead. Do you concur? I'll be back soon with another one, so let me